past is history, the future mystery. This moment is the gift.
It is Dr. Sarah Larsen in studio for you. Today's show is so incredible. We've got our millennial in the house as well, Myra Shea.
Hello. Great to be with everyone here today.
Miracle Makers, on this show, we really give you all of the skills for you to be able to make miracles in your life. No one can do what you're here to do. And what you're here to do is predetermined by how faithful you are to your own path, how faithful you are to your own inner knowing and connection to the love that created you. Miracle Maker, no, you're an original. And we want to start with a little bit of a prayer or our intent for the show. We usually do it off air, and we just decided more and more to do it on air as we're going. And at our home, at our dinner table, we have the youngest one in the room usually lead the prayer because they were the one that was most recently in the formless or with love or with the universe or with God, whatever your name might be for that frequency, for that. So Myra, will you go and set the intention, set the prayer for this?
Sure. Can it be a prayer that will include our entire audience?
Oh, it does. It does. Okay. Always. It's usually something to the extent of, dear God, dear universe, dear love, let your words be our words. Let it serve those that are listening.
Yes.
And so whatever comes through for you is so beautiful.
Okay.
Yay.
Dear God, let our words be of service to any and every person that needs to hear exactly those words right now. Let us be protected from any anxiety and grief, from incapacity, from laziness, from anything that impedes our ability to connect on the deepest level with those who we desire to reach and who need to hear it the most. And let truth be shown through us, and let us be just completely immersed in your love so that we could send it and radiate it outwards. Amen.
Amen. Amina. Yes. What a beautiful prayer. Thank you so much. And so today we're talking about some things that are really, really close to our hearts. And you've come on so beautifully to share this. And I'd love for you to introduce the topic.
So the topic that we are sharing today is how to choose love, how to choose you, setting healthy boundaries, and using love as a way and a standard and a baseline to achieve boundaries.
Achieving boundaries. And Brene Brown, this beautiful TED Talk speaker, author, she's been on Oprah's Super Soul Sunday, really says those that have the greatest amount of connection, compassion, and the best relationships have great boundaries. And there were 4 things that you really wanted to talk about. Sure. Myra's studying at postgraduate level
clinical
psychology. Yeah. And the latest, greatest coming out from the teachers. You've also, which I love, that was one of my minors. For me, I'm a medical doctor, a medical intuitive, someone who really gets and sees the energy field. Myra is so beautiful because she is cultivating herself to be able to bring great deals of peace to the world. Such a beautiful gift. And we've also studied, both of us, religion, right?
Yes.
Religion, or the philosophy or the mythology or the beliefs that religion puts forward, is a starting point for us to develop our own relationship with faith, with being attached to this world and also attached to something greater than ourselves. And so I'd love for you to share what you're about to share with us.
Sure, absolutely. And so when we are talking about boundaries and setting healthy boundaries, boundaries are a part of self-care. Self-care is an act of political warfare. It's extremely important to distinguish self-care and selfishness. So self-care is putting your own individual needs before the needs of others. It's a way to stay authentic to your purpose, to who you are, and fight the urge to people please. So setting boundaries is a part of self-care. Boom. That's number one. Very important to understand that. Our boundaries let others know how we ought to be treated, how we want to be treated. And it's a way for us to decide what we are and what we are not okay with. And to distinguish those two things are extremely important, again, in being authentic and staying authentic from moment to moment. And then the last two things are to be brave enough to say yes when you need to say yes, and to emphasize that your yes to you is more important than a no that may or may not disappoint someone else. So it takes an act of bravery to be able to say yes to yourself and no to somebody else if your yes is more important. And then to say no with kindness and compassion and with love, because you're still considering other people's feelings when you are putting your needs first. So right out the bat, 4 things to stay connected to when you are thinking about your own individual needs and setting your own boundaries.
It's so beautiful. The gift of setting your own boundaries, it really is acknowledging that you have wants, that you have desires, and those matter to yourself, and that you belong to you, that you're choosing you, and love chose you. The universe, God, source, whatever that is, you were a bundle of cells in your mother's uterus. Those bundle of cells in your mother's uterus at day 22 generated a heartbeat. It could have easily not, and it could have easily just passed through, and it happens so often. But your heart, your bundle, created you, this amazing electrical, magnetic organ and then when you took your first breath, you locked in information within your body. Your body will always say exactly the location that you were born, the nutrition, the things that were available around you during that time. You locked in a particular location in the universe. It's so beautiful. 100 years ago, when we found bones, we couldn't do the work that we're doing now currently. 100 years from now, what scientists are going to be able to show from your physical remains is extraordinary. You choosing you choosing everything about you, the location that you were born, the aspects of your physical body that you are. It's really a beautiful gift, because then you create a healthy body. A lot of us struggle with not choosing whatever location we might have been born in, whatever color, our physical bodies, or we were taught to value something outside ourselves more than the connection within ourselves. And it's so important to understand our parents and our world did the best it could up till now. There's a great deal of love that exists, and it's up to you to choose you, and then your field, your heart that's generating this beautiful love, to choose that and to give that language. And every time that you're choosing something that might have been not in alignment with your heart because you didn't know better, or someone else tells you, oh, I chose something out of alignment with my heart. When you begin approaching life that way, speaking that language, what you can create for the world is incredible. That's, if you said yes when you wanted your heart, you tuned in and is like, your heart is like, nope, it's really a no. You go back and you go say to that person, I'm so sorry. I didn't know what I wanted authentically. I wasn't listening to my heart. And the next step in this process, I've got to listen to my heart. I've got to let the previous decision just be a maybe until you and I talk again, and both of us are speaking for our hearts, from our hearts. What comes up for you, Myra, as I'm sharing that?
Just when we talk about love being the place that we choose ourselves, right? We choose ourselves through love. And it reminds me of being able to cook your own food rather than to eat from someone else's buffet. In a way, it's like it's a funny analogy, but you're choosing yourself. You're loving yourself enough to cook your own damn food rather than to eat from another person's buffet, which is, in my view, people pleasing. I'm gonna eat here, and from this platter and this platter, right? And that's like trying to please this person until I finally decide, hey, I'm gonna cook my own food.
Yes. And we're gonna watch a little bit of a video right now about it's from, I believe, Goldcast, and within Goldcast released the story of From Slumdog to Soulmate. This beautiful man and this beautiful story represents so beautifully someone choosing themselves, choosing love, and eating from their own buffet. And so I can't wait for you to see this. Have you seen this video?
I don't think I have.
Oh, I can't wait for you to
Let's
see
watch
this. Okay, beautiful.
I love the title, From Slumdog to Soulmate. Beautiful.
From Slumdog to Soulmate. To class, the class called Untouchables, who were despised, mistreated, and forced into jobs that nobody else would do. Young PK was shunned, bullied, and really, like most untouchables, PK had little hope of escaping his past. A local woman foretold PK's future. He told him that his wife would be from a faraway land, that she would be born under the zodiac sign of Taurus, that she would play the flute, and that she would own a forest. But it was her final words that caught PK off. It was follow her footsteps. And we're watching a little bit of a commercial here, but it's so beautiful that PK, Slumdog, Untouchable, went from that. More of the video is going to show here. As soon as went from Slumdog to, it was these amazing words of you've got to follow her footsteps. And PK was driven to find this woman. So he left his village, moved to Delhi, and was able to paint portraits to allow himself to meet beautiful other women and other people from other lands. He was painting a portrait, and one day, December 17th, 1975, PK saw a strange woman in the crowd. Charlotte was tall and blonde, and as she approached PK, he saw the bluest of eyes, and his heart began to race. And he didn't have words accurately enough to describe his feelings. In a gentle voice, Charlotte asked him to paint her portrait, and PK was so nervous that his paintbrushes shook. So he asked her to come back the next day. And all night long, PK couldn't stop thinking about her. Could this be her? Could this be the woman that was foretold about? The next day, Charlotte returned, and she sat. PK found the courage to ask her the first question, the question he'd been thinking about for decades. In his broken English, he asked, "Are you from a faraway land?" She said, "Yes, I'm visiting from Sweden." "What astrological sign are you born under?" She said, "I'm a Taurus." And she laughed. And then PK tried to focus on the painting, but he was so nervous. He got the courage to ask her, "Do you play the flute?" She said, "Yes, I play the flute and the piano." PK was stunned because the last question was the strangest of all. He said, "Charlotte, by any chance, do you own a forest?" And he saw a spark in her eyes, and she said, yes, I do own a forest." And PK sat down shocked. But how could that be? Charlotte owned land, and on this land in Sweden, indeed, there was a large forest. PK summoned the courage and gently took her hand. "This is decided in heaven," he said. "These things are decided in heaven. We were destined to meet before we were born, and despite their different backgrounds, they spent every moment together for a full month until Charlotte had to go home to Sweden." Charlotte goes home to Sweden. PK knew the last thing this woman in the prophecy had said is you've got to follow her footsteps. He sold the few things he owned, and he left for Delhi with $80 and a destiny to fulfill, and it was time to follow her footsteps. He bought a bicycle, and he began the 5,000-mile journey from India to Sweden on his bike. He met amazing people, and some of them gave him a ride in their truck. Some gave him food in exchange for their sketches. He biked through Pakistan, through Afghanistan, through Iran and Turkey, Yugoslavia, Australia, Germany, and Denmark. He slept under the stars, dreaming of Charlotte. Finally, after 4 exhausting months sore, he arrived in Sweden. PK biked off the ferry and fell into Charlotte's arms, exhausted and overjoyed. 5,000 miles, 4 months, they got married. They had 2 beautiful children. They are still married to this day. When you park your ego outside, on the inside of the house, there's only openness. Their story reminds us that love has no boundaries. The world and humanity can only survive through love, and love never tires. I love this story so much that was brought to us by Goalcast, and the story of PK And if you know the story of India as a non-government organization doctor in the fields in India, the first question even that we ask is, what's your name? The second question, even to this day, is what's your caste? The caste system pegs you into a box. And PK, because he went and saw a local woman, foretold his future, told him what to look out for, what to see, what to believe in, even. He believed in another possible future for him rather than the one that he had been boxed into. He took the actions necessary. If he would have stayed in his remote village, because these things are destined in heaven, at some point, Charlotte might have come into the village, but he was so proactive. He had faith. He followed this, learned to paint portraits, something quote unquote an untouchable could do. If he'd stayed in town, if he'd stayed in the box, if he'd stayed in believing in the external factors more than the internal faith, the destiny of both Charlotte and PK could have waited till a lot longer. My beloved Greg and I, when we trace back our history, we could have met over, we counted all the way like 13. We got up to like 22. Mm-hmm. It's so funny. He was supposed to be in England when I was planning a trip there. Egypt when I was planning a trip there. He grew up in Minnesota. I was born in Pakistan. We both traveled the world, and these different locations we could have met. But when I brought my frequency, my miracle frequency high enough up, when Greg brought his miracle frequency high enough up, we met in Nashville. Such a beautiful story. PK and Charlotte met in the streets of India. He did what was necessary. He listened and had faith. And I think one of the key things here is having a really good person that's tapped in that can help you see your path, especially if you've been boxed in. If you've been stuck, that's another special good time to get with someone who sees these things and understands these things. Myra, I can't wait for you to chime in.
I just think that that story was so beautiful because PK did not remain a victim or succumb to his circumstances. He had a vision of possibility to make the impossible, what anyone else in his position might have thought was impossible. And he completely transmuted that and turned it into a beautiful life that one could only imagine in their wildest dreams. And he made it a reality. And if PK could do that, bicycling 5,000 miles from India to Sweden to find his beloved, then where does the limits and the boundaries of love, where are they? Are there any?
There are no boundaries to love. In 1975, right? The way that the world was in 1975, to get through those borders, to get through those places. I mean,
it's still so difficult today.
Right. And to add in no GPS, right? There's no GPS that says, oh, turn left here, park your bicycle here. There's a restaurant here. There's safe haven on, he slept under the stars. Yeah. Oh, my darling miracle makers, you've got something that is from heaven for you. That love, your stories, your possibilities, what you're here to do is so beautiful. You might have been bullied in in your past. Some of the bullies might have been the most loving people in your life, and you didn't know that you were being bullied to some degree. And those bullies and those people were doing the best they could. But knowing truly that there is a destiny within your heart. Yeah. And within your heart, this is a Rumi, there is a field out beyond right doing and wrongdoing. There's a beautiful field. And when we come from our hearts, every trucker, every person that helped PK along the way met PK in the middle of that field. There is a field out beyond right doing and wrongdoing where there's only love, and I will meet you there. And when you meet yourself in that field, when you no longer judge yourself or anyone else for what has happened in the past, when you give that gift of giving them, wow, your reality is your reality. I'm sorry you experienced it that way. My reality is my reality. I'm apologizing if I did anything in your reality that hurt you. I give that to you. I forgive you everything you didn't know better how to do. When you step into that field, oh my gosh, the possibilities and what you create and what you grow with is so incredible. What comes up for you? And then we'll start taking calls.
Just when you mentioned Rumi, I have to add just that field of love and wrong. There is no wrongdoing. There is no right doing. And I don't want to butcher Rumi's beautiful poem, but there is that place, and he will meet you there. And that just resonates, and it continues to percolate in my entire being.
It resonates in our entire being. The whole world, God, love, the universe forgives you. The universe loves you.
And just with PK's story, when we think about everything he had to go through, all of the obstacle in his way, all of the people that he met along the way, but to reach his destiny because it was already written.
Yes,
for him.
Reach it because it was already written. There is something so great within you when you believe in you and that greatness. Mm-hmm. It will open the pathway. Yeah. It will open doors where only windows existed, and it will open windows. Mm-hmm. That's Joseph Campbell. Follow your bliss. He followed his bliss. He followed this vision. And of course, he was so emotionally driven. A truck driver, anyone that met him. And yes, he did struggle and suffer in there as well. 5,000 miles, all of those countries, 4 months, fear, doubt, all of that immersed him. But he stayed on the path. And so we love this story. So beautiful. We can talk
about it for hours.
Yes. If you are watching this and you believe it can help someone, please go ahead and share it. And what helps us is when you subscribe. And if we've been helping you, please give us a 5-star rating on whatever you're listening to this on. It helps more people be able to tune into their miracle frequency. Mm-hmm. Welcome, Miracle Maker. We're so glad you're here. Tony, let's take the first call. It's from 415. Welcome, caller, 415. It's Dr. Sarah Larsen. Can you hear us?
Oh, yes, I can. Hi, Dr. Sarah. It's Kimmy G. And I've had your show turned off so far because I needed to stay connected to Beyond, and I didn't want to take in anyone from the solar plex. So forgive me for not knowing in what compassionate direction or not the calls have been going. But I am so this last full moon was. I mean, I felt like Shiva grabbed me and tied me to a giant yo-yo that he then like kept playing with and throwing out to the universe. I don't know about you, but I've never felt so emotionally shaken up by any full moon in my life as this last one.
It's an extraordinary time, and I'm so glad that you're here, Kimchi. And I'm gonna go through this so powerfully. This what occurs during the full moon and what occurs in the stars affects our body. So when we have a moon, full tide comes in, right? Our blood changes. A new moon or a full moon, what happens to the earth happens to every person on the earth. And all of the alignment that's been happening is showing that the shadows are coming out, people's shadows. And 40 days and 40 nights of being tested with the shadow aspects of ourselves. Again, a full moon or a new moon, what's happening there happens to our body. What the alignment and truly being able to have a process every full moon or new moon that helps you become congruent with the cycles that are happening on Earth with the whole system. And so in particular, what's being asked for you is for you to sit under the moon and to sit under it and really receive all of you receive so much communication from the solar system. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
But not from Randy. That's what irks me. Not from Randy. From all other sources, but not Randy.
Right. Right now, what you've got to do is sit with, because the moon channel, so to speak, we can hear everyone else's channels. We can hear Venus's channel, Mars channel. We can hear each person that comes in, their particular thread of communication in their channel. When the moon is like it is right now, and all of the stars are aligned like they are right now for you, it's so incredible for you to really get and make possible that when you listen to the moon, which is the loudest broadcast happening in your field, you'll be able to go back and hear other tunes, other channels, other conversations that are happening in the spirit world. And so physically sitting on the earth. So whether you put like a grounded yoga mat beneath you or a full cotton blend, earth made or silk below you, and you sit on the earth underneath the moon and listen for, and it's got to be at least 20 minutes. Listen for the communication. And
I've been a grounder earther for years now.
yes.
I hear you.
And so that's exactly what your body is saying. You do this for 20 years tonight. Not 20 years, 20 minutes. I'm sorry, 20 minutes tonight. And you will be able to really tune in. The longer you go, the more you'll be able to connect with the past, the present, and the future. So if you start at 20 minutes and you go 30 minutes, it feels like about 22 minutes in, you'll start hearing a lot of the energy to clean up for yourself, to be able to hear clearly the present moment. And it feels like about minute 25, you'll start getting into the moment. This is what your body's communicating. And then you will go into so beautifully connecting with the frequency of what it is that you really want clarity on for the future.
Good. Thank you.
You're so welcome. I'm so glad you called in. Is there anything you want to add?
Oh, I don't know. Do you feel Randy G's listening?
I do feel
Is the Randy man
and,
around?
He has shared that he made a dust storm go around you recently. Like you saw swirling. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, that was him.
Yes, little fractals.
Yes.
Fractals of light, but in different color.
Yes, that was him.
Oh my gosh!
Yes.
He was on the front, and I thought I knew I didn't get up too fast or anything. I had just been meditating, and ironically, it was his favor Satanama that came on when I was in my farm for sauna. I was like, "This is for you, sweets." And then when I showered, I saw these incredible fractals of light, and I thought, but I turned around and I heard a voice that said, "Welcome to the 11th."
Yes, and that was Randy, and he is doing all the energy work for you guys, both to get what you want. He loved making you happy.
That's so touching. What a beautiful story, Kimmy, to hear that.
Yes.
Aww.
Sorry?
What a beautiful story to hear that.
It's not to crack anyone's time, but if there's anybody out there who doesn't believe that love never dies, listen to your heart, not to what others tell you is the truth or what you've read is the truth. Follow your heart, because love does not die. And so if your loved one crosses over and you choose to be that vibration of love and be in full belief that that is there is no need to define where you'll be in this and that, because you go to love and you hold on and you don't have to ever let go.
Yes.
All right. Have a great day.
Oh, thank you.
So
And
Thanks so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you. Well, and we met at Bhakti, correct?
Yeah, we met at Bhakti. I got a message again. Just Randy came to me and I heard a voice that said, "You'll find me in the Josh tree." And he had just passed away, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm not going to the desert by myself in the heat. Are you nuts? And then the next day I woke up and I got this email alert, Bhakti Fest, and I saw glamping, nonprofit, without even, because I turned off my head. When Randy transitioned, I handed over the head to the 5 operating system to the heart, and I only listen to what comes to me via the heart.
And then
So,
Randy communicated so
know.
clearly in the desert then. And it's so beautiful,
Through
Kim.
you.
Yes.
Yes, through you. I mean, 4,000 people. The message is, you'll find me in the Joshua tree. And this woman comes up to you out of 4,000 people and starts talking to you about his ashes. And my response is he mad? And his response, and Dr. Sarah's response was just no. I mean, she obviously knew exactly what had transpired. So yeah, it doesn't die.
It doesn't
What
die.
dies is our hope.
Yes.
What dies is when we close our heart.
Yes,
I love you,
that's
Kim.
beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yay. Tony, let's take the next caller. It's so beautiful to hear those stories.
It's so beautiful. And I think something to add is that when you do open up your heart and you feel the spirit around you, and you think that that's just you and your sad or grieving thoughts, it's usually not. It's usually a presence that's actually there with you and getting you through and guiding you through whatever it is that's happening for you in the moment.
Welcome, caller. We heard you say hello. Welcome. What's your name?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Judy.
Hi, Judy.
Hello. Hi.
What can we answer for you?
Oh, well, I'm kind of in this, not dilemma, but I've got some men interested in my, they're in my path right now, like in a major way. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's the astronomy or something with my sign, but I'm just wondering if you can tune into, like, is it one I know now, or is there somebody else that I'm supposed to be, this is just a temporary thing, or is it one of these guys? And if it's one of these guys, if you can tap into, because they're all so different, and obvious, like
It's
if you
so
get an
funny
insight into which one.
One of them came across as religious. more tapped into mythology and tradition and religion. And they've got health concerns. So there's 3 men around you. Is that correct?
Okay. Yeah, I can go with 3.
3. Okay.
There's a little bit more, but yeah,
Right.
that's okay.
But those are the serious ones that are coming through.
Okay. Gotcha.
And
gotcha.
then one of them has religion as so.
Okay.
And then one of them has health stuff coming up.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then one of them is an addictor, like addicted, gets addicted.
Ooh.
Like,
Okay.
and addiction, if you're addicted to a person and to love, it might not be a bad thing. If you're addicted to service, and it's an interesting thing to put it, so not to necessarily put this together, but do you want to give, and you don't have to say their direct names, you can change their names, Judy. So
Sure.
the religious guy, just so as you're talking about him, give me a name and I can tap more into him.
Okay. I can make up a name.
Make up a name. I see. Yes.
Did you say?
Please.
Okay. Let's say Mr. V.
Mr. V. And Mr.
Yeah.
V wants to do things by the book. It's so funny. Like Mr. V.
You got that right.
Yeah. And Mr. V loves clear direction. If you tell Mr.
Okay.
V what you want, what makes you happy, and it's really, really interesting because he uses a lot of the stuff to help him. He needs reasons for stuff. He needs to know the why. He needs to know the why.
You're right on.
Yeah. And long term, he's looking for something long term.
Great.
And so there's a great deal of like a real yes in his energy field with you guys working and being together. The reason that so many people are coming up in your field is you've been working hard at making sure that you take care of and complete all life paths and all life journeys. Is that correct, Judy?
Yes.
Yeah. And so this is why so many men are coming out of the woodwork is there are so many soulmates in your life.
Okay.
And this one in particular came from a really old past life.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. And so let's talk about the next guy, the next serious contender in the house.
Okay.
And so of the two, which
let's
one
see.
do you want to talk about next?
I guess let's call him Bicycle.
Bicycle. Oh, gosh. And Bicycle is fantastic. Bicycle has a little bit of family that comes with the package. What that means with Bicycle is Bicycle wants to grow something bigger.
Yep.
Yeah.
Big time.
Big time. So with Bicycle, you and Bicycle create something together as long as you believe in what Bicycle wants to create together. It's amazing.
Okay.
Okay. And Bicycle has interesting resources, interesting
Very.
conversations. And so let's talk about the next guy.
Call him Piano.
Piano. And so Piano has depth to the conversation, to everything. Piano can take things personally when it's not meant to be personal.
Okay.
Okay. And so of these, where does your body feel best?
Oh, gosh. I'm not sure yet. I'm like, I'm trying to really let it happen naturally and not rush anything, because I've been rushing and trying to plug a hole practically, and it wasn't working. So I'm like, wait.
I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off and we keep going. This is why it's so important for you to have been on this call and on this show.
Okay.
Is because you have to learn to choose yourself first. And of these,
exactly, that's what I'm learning.
Of these men, the one that really, really just lights you up like a little child. And bicycle seems to do that a lot.
Okay.
Right? And religious, the religious one, and we can call the religious one, the first one that we talked about, is very much in need of someone to lead him.
Okay.
So if you step up to being the leader, those are but you've really got to go in and tune into what you want to experience. And one of these three guys is more accomplished, easier to give to and receive from, and loves you.
Okay.
So did that help you answer? The reason it's coming this way is you've got to choose you and not being the caretaker anymore.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
You're so welcome. And on Miracle Makers, and within Miracle Makers Academy, it's semi-private, right? Miracle Makers Academy is an online community. We meet every Sunday, different readers, different experts, but I'm always on the call and I always answer questions. And we can go in so that there's not so many people and those names. We can go in a private situation and answer it for you more clearly.
Okay.
Your homework between now and then is to start tuning into what you really want, what you really enjoy.
Right.
Judy, join Miracle Makers Academy. It's $10 a month. $10 a month.
Okay.
And it's designed to help you be able to get the results you want in life. Myra, anything you want to...
that's worth it. My gosh, I won't even miss that. How do I sign up?
MiracleMakersAcademy.com. Mm-hmm. Anything you want to add?
Okay,
Mary?
gotcha.
Well, just to the caller, that all these options sometimes can be so paralyzing, and no bounds on or constraint can be a blessing and a curse. So tuning into what you need and your own self, I think, is the most important thing, and the answer will be revealed by itself naturally, like you said.
Excellent.
Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you for calling in,
Very
Judy.
helpful. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Bless you.
Thank you. We'll take the next caller. Welcome, welcome, caller. It's Dr. Sarah Larsen and Myra Shea.
Hi, caller.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
Say hello, hello. It is a 323 number? 747. 747 number. Welcome, 747.
Yes, hello.
Hi. Welcome, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much.
Where is the 747 area code from?
It's Glendale. It's actually Glendale.
Oh, that's so awesome. What's your name?
Alina.
Hi, Alina. What can we answer for you?
Oh, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to be tuned in and watching you guys. And I recently saw the PK video myself, so it's amazing. The question I have is the relationship I have with certain family members, being a spiritual person, being aware of this from a young age. I realized, there's certain people, like especially like my mom and my brother, especially even my dad, I'd say there's a lot of healing that needs to be cleared. I feel like I've tuned in, and there's like certain ties that have come up like from past lives, just like intuitively me becoming aware of it, that I feel like I really need to like cut certain cords of guilt or shame. It's just I haven't been able to I guess figure out the best way to do that so I can set myself free to do what I'm supposed to do in my life right now.
Alina, it's so important. The voices that you're listening to inside your head, your heart, and your body are not always your own voices. It's the voices that you've heard, this should be this way. And so you've got to start, you've been hearing the voice of your mom, your brother, your dad, their grandparents, the traditions, voices. And what you've got to start listening to is the things that you say to yourself in the mirror. Literally, your eyeballs are your brain. Your eyes are your brain. And if you start looking in the mirror, and your mom and dad and brothers have different layers of being attached to themselves and to the family and to the past. You're designed not to be attached to the past, except for every time you get back around them, the past is sort of up in your face, almost like you can't escape it. Does that sound right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so in the mirror, you've got to say words to yourself that you want to hear your mom, your dad, and your brother say to you. You've got to say out loud the words that you want to be saying to them. And yes, you do have to cut the cords. But anytime something comes up in your mind or that they say that isn't true for you, you can either say the words cancel, cancel, or you can say the words ignore, ignore. And then your body wants to get off all gluten.
Oh, all gluten. Okay.
All gluten, all bread, almost all sugars will make it easier for you to let go of the family and fully accept what you're here to create. And you're not to let go of the family. It's really to let go of the way it's been in the past. And Myra, anything you want to add to this?
I completely understand, Alina, that you feel like there is so much pre-programming and conditioning that's going on when it comes to your family and like how that could trigger you. And I think what Dr. Sarah mentioned about really looking at your own self in the mirror and even just looking at yourself and connecting with your own thoughts and making sure to separate your thoughts from what has been implanted into your head for so many years and what you feel shameful about, or things that you feel guilty around. And to really separate them is really important, I feel, and has helped me tremendously in finding my own voice and being able to really create the boundary, right, between who I am and what my family tries to put in based on the traditions, based on just all of the generations of the same, and to break the cycle, you have to figure out.
It's so beautiful, and you and your brother are so different because there's a attachment theory that describes how people wind up being normal. They're either, if at age 6 or 7, or right around that brain development, if their parents and the child attached comfortably. And the child was given just permission to be themselves and go explore the world. And the parents said, oh, it's a friendly world. It's a friendly universe. Well, what happened there is normal attachment. But there's three other ways that we attach that are less normal, and anxious ambivalent, anxious avoidant, and anxious disorganized. And your parents weren't attached to their parents. And so one of your parents is very, very disorganized, and the other one is ambivalent and moody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so,
and they're diverse too. And the fact is like that when I started, it's like my soul was calling for a different, like I almost, like I believe deep down it wasn't supposed to be like that, like how it was at home. And seeing the contrast and just like being a seeker from a very young age, I started finding all these teachers, and one thing led to another. And I think one of the biggest issues I'm having as an adult, a young adult right now, is how do, like, and that's why, like, you've answered and helped so much about the cutting the cords, but like how can I organize the relationships, in a way where it's like I'm not sabotaging myself anymore, and I don't feel like I'm responsible, because it's like the roles have almost reversed, and now I'm supposed to take care of things. And
so you're the source, right? You're now the source. You're normal, and you're attached to faith and God and the universe and to other people. So you only go to the family when you've got something to give. You give from the overflow. And so going home for Thanksgiving, you make sure that you've done and you remember exactly who you are. You've done all the self-care things. Then you go into that environment and you give and give from your overflow. And if you start to be depleted, you go to the bathroom, you look in the mirror, you do affirmations. If you start to get emotional, you say, I'm so sorry, I've got to go right now. You get out and you go. And you repeatedly, over and over again, give from the overflow. And I can't wait for you to go back and listen to this. Make sure you go back and listen to this. The first part of it said, look at yourself in the mirror and hear yourself saying what you want your family to say to you. So when you practice saying over...
I've been taking notes. I thank you so much.
Right? So when you practice that, by the time you get to seeing them and you're doing the energy work for them, it's so beautiful because they're able to see you that way and give to you that way and co-create with you that way. It's such a gift.
Thank you so much. Thank you both.
You're so welcome. I think, yay! I think we can take one more call, Tony. Can we take one more? Is that it? One more? Okay, one more call. Welcome, caller. Welcome. I just looked at the time, and so this will be so quick. Welcome. What can we answer for you?
Hello?
Oh, turn down the other set. What you're listening to us on.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Now we can hear you clearly. Welcome. We're so glad you're here.
Hi, Dr. Sarah and Myra. This is Lori Wessel.
Lori.
Hi, Lori.
Hi, Lori. What a treat. What can we answer for you?
I'm glad I got through. It's a very intense time. My dad has just been removed back to his memory care room after nearly 2 weeks of aspirated pneumonia, and there's no more they can do for him. He hasn't had anything to eat or drink in over 2 weeks, and it's just a matter of time now. But my dad is a fighting spirit, and I've been hoping for a graceful passage for my dad. Nobody wants to see a parent suffer, and I'm just wondering if you think I've said everything I need to say to my dad, if there's anything you can see that he may need to hear, anything I can do. He's in...
I would love... for you to play really loving music for him. And
Yeah, I've been using music very
Right.
effectively. Very
And
effectively. Go
I
ahead.
want you to speak over the music and say, Dad, it's time. This is what heaven is like. And I want you to describe the best feelings that your dad, you know what your dad cherishes. Everybody showing up over and over again. He's never alone. Every need of his is taken care of. And so I want you to he's listening to music already. While he's listening to music in those videos, I'm sorry, not in the videos, but in the visits, I want you to hold his hands and listen to the music and start just gently saying, the veil between earth and heaven is so clear. It's so beautiful. Heaven is this way, and it's easy to enter into the heavenly realm. And I want you to describe all the things that you know he loves and to place them in heaven. The food that he loves to eat, the energy, and saying, we will always cherish you here and we will visit with you. He's afraid of not knowing what's on the other side. He wants to know before he goes. So
I assume my dad is afraid. He's always been a man with exceptional control and not being able to be vulnerable. He grew up on the streets of Chicago, very tough. And it hasn't really been addressed that he's dying, but I feel that he knows. But I feel my dad, I've said to my mom that I'm certain my dad is going to fight until the end. You know what I mean? He's a fighting spirit, and I appreciate what you have, what you're saying to me. It's kind of complicated because I was the only one for 3 years overseeing my parents. And now that my dad is on his deathbed, my brothers are showing up, so I'm needing to share that space. And it's very complex between my brothers and I, very difficult, very challenging. My brother said, to me in the hospital room, don't you get tired of being alone, Lori? Because my dad just kept asking for me. I want Lori. Where is Lori? And it's been very, very challenging, but I get it that I need to just set aside all these feelings towards my brother for abandoning my father and just showing up now that it's time to, let him go.
And Lori, I want you to listen to this show from start to finish, especially about letting go of the past and the programming.
I did write that down. I heard,
And so listen to the show start to finish so you can really step on your path. And you are such a beautiful soul. Do the guided meditation energy for your dad, telling him what heaven's like. You're probably going to have to do it about 12 times before he fully receives the transmission and lets go. He doesn't want to be a fighter in this area. So that's one of the things that's going for you, and it could be graceful.
Okay, I have a CD.
And I know you're in
Passages.
Miracle Makers, Lori. We'll check in with you on Sunday. Make sure you join us on Sunday. We're at the end of our time together. I love you so much. We love you.
Lori. Thank you for such a beautiful question and being so involved in your dad's
Thank you so much.
transition.
You're
so
beautiful. Welcome. And Miracle Makers, you can tune in, subscribe. There's Dr. Sarah Larsen on YouTube. There's Dr. Sarah Larsen on Facebook. There's Miracle Makers Academy and DrSarahLarsen.com. MiracleMakersAcademy.com. A newsletter. Gifts go out every week in that newsletter. DrSarahLarsen.com, and also YouTube and Facebook. And Myra, you're on Periscope.
And Dr. Sarah's fan page as well. So things that I would I will see that will probably affect other people in a very, very beautiful way, I will go ahead and reach out. And on my behalf, I'll go ahead and post things that I think will touch other people's hearts.
So you can reach Myra on Facebook as well, on the Dr. Sarah Larsen fan page. Leave messages for Myra there.
Yes.
Well, yes. We love you guys. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
The past is history, the future mystery. This moment